It's preparing.
I think we're live, are we?
I think so too. Let's check and see. If I play it, if I hit play, we might hear each other. So
Yeah, no, it's okay. Yep. Okay, great. Welcome everyone to Anselmo Academy of Music and the Arts YouTube channel. We hope that you are all enjoying the last few days of summer before school begins in September for so many students around the world. Today we have a special event, and it's an honor for us to have our long-standing faculty member who's been with us since 2004 till present, and a former Brooklyn administrator who has managed for many years multiple Brooklyn students, hundreds of students, and especially important group class programs that we have organized at multiple schools in Brooklyn throughout the years. Please help me welcome Christina Kulick. Hi, Christina.
hi, Vera, and good evening to everyone who is watching with us today or perhaps sometime in the future. Welcome.
Yes, thank you, Christina. It's a true honor to have you with us this evening, and thank you for joining us. And happy belated birthday, by the way.
Oh, thank
we
you.
know it was your birthday on Friday. So tell us a little bit about how you celebrated during kind of half pandemic mode with your family and friends.
Oh, thank you. I greatly appreciate that. It is such a blessing in these times to be healthy and to celebrate a birthday. So the gravity of that does not escape me. So it was a very peaceful, quiet day. I actually worked on some music since I wasn't able to be with all my family and friends physically. We connected virtually, and I did a little songwriting and relaxing. So that was a blessing.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, thank you.
Before we proceed, just a quick announcement. I want to encourage all of our followers and everybody who is watching today to go to anselmoacademy.org and look through our faculty profiles. We have recently, in the last couple of months, have hired so many young, upbeat, energetic, and enthusiastic teachers who specialize in teaching a variety of instruments. And since we have expanded to teach so many different instruments and theater and tutoring, we encourage you to take a look at the roster of our teachers. And I'd like to first read some excerpts from Christina's bio. Can we please have Christina's picture up while I read? Better to look at your picture than me reading.
Absolutely, my pleasure. One moment.
Yes. I decided to read some of the Christina's biography because it sort of brings you up to date on her educational background, on her accomplishments, on her interest from basically as a very young child up to graduating college. So here it goes. Christina Kulick is a devoted advocate for music and the arts. Born and raised in Pennsylvania, Ms. Kulick engaged in her studies of music and dance at the age of 3. Showing a gift for song, she began studying voice and piano through private lessons and became an active performer in her elementary and high school theater and choral departments. In addition, she was accepted to study at the Harrisburg Arts Magnet School as a student of the specialized music theater program. A recipient of the Mina Kaufman Vocal Scholarship, she went on to further her studies at Chatham College in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, with a double major in music and theater. There, Ms. Kulick continued her classical voice and piano studies and was an active member and performer in music department recitals, choir and madrigals, theater performance and technical design, directing, ballet and modern dance performance through the Chapman College Dance Collective, and also performed to great acclaim in the Freeport Summer Theater festivals. She received her BA in both music and theater in 1999, graduating cum laude. And now, Christina, welcome back.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say that I remember meeting you when we met for the very first time. Do you remember that moment?
I do. I remember coming uptown in Manhattan to interview for a piano teaching job.
Yes, yes, we were looking for a music teacher at a local Montessori school to teach a specialized program that we have created and have been running for years now. We call Piano for Very Young. And this program is very, very popular. Kids absolutely love it. And Christina was highly recommended to become a teacher at that given school. But if I also may add a couple of words from myself, you started teaching at the Montessori school with great success. And soon after, you have become an administrator for our Brooklyn, managing Brooklyn students and a lot of, many group class programs. Actually, let me take that back. We didn't have that many programs. You have, with your great help, it was created. If I wanted to say, just sum up your personality and your achievements in one sentence, it would be, as soon as you became Brooklyn administrator, bam, we had like hundreds of students. We had dozens of programs at so many Brooklyn schools. You would recruit one child and then his brother or sister and a parent and a babysitter. And if they had a cat would join as well.
They really did. Sometimes the cats would crawl into the pianos during piano lesson. It's true.
So that is, if that doesn't describe you, I don't know, what does.
Well, that's very kind. Thank you.
Absolutely. And so I'd like, the first topic of our conversation, I'd like to, ask you a bunch of questions and you answer, in the way that you would like to. First question I have is that since you've taught so many very young children, not exclusively, but you've been doing this for many, many years, you have become a pro at this. Tell us a little bit about your first steps as a young child and your first steps at studying voice and piano, and what are the memories of that period in your life?
Oh, of course. I feel so fortunate to say they were beautiful memories. I had the opportunity, as you mentioned in my bio, at the very tender age, even before 3, just as a baby, having twin sisters that were quite a bit older than me. And I wanted to do everything they did. And at the time, they were playing piano and dancing and doing these fabulous things like baton twirling. And I even just as a toddler, I wanted to do that. So I feel like they were my first teachers in a lot of ways, because my mother had to soon beg the instructors of the classes they were doing, twirling and piano, oh, will you please take Christina? And they said, oh, no, she's too young. And my mom was like, please, I promise you she's interested and she will keep up with the big kids. And fortunately, she convinced them. So that I was blessed with really fun, lovely, loving teachers as a young person. And then those 2 big sisters that would help me practice at home. And of course, encouraging parents and family members. And that kind of got the ball rolling. And as you get older, as a lot of students do, I just kept doing more and studying ballet, continuing piano. When I got to the right age, I started private voice lessons in addition to piano and dance. And it was just such a joy. I felt, even at a young age, very privileged to have the opportunity to do that. I knew that not every student that I knew was able to do all those extra things. Many of them did, thankfully. And then it became quite clear going into middle school and high school that I really was taking it seriously. So
And so you decided then to major in music and musical
yes,
theater
I
in
auditioned.
college.
Yeah, I auditioned and fortunately was able to, also following my big sister's footsteps, I got a vocal scholarship at Chatham College in Pennsylvania and was able to work with incredible piano professors and vocal professors and did a double major. It was actually a dual degree program. So I have two BAs in
Very
music
challenging.
and theater. It was challenging, but I kind of feel like I worked hard and it was rewarded with, you got to do shows all the time. There were music recitals, you know, departmental recitals all the time. There was such joy. And again, quite a privilege to study on what you really loved and be able to focus on that. So that was an exciting time. So
And
that's how
so-
I got started.
Right. And so as you graduated in 1999, and we met in 2004, tell us what happened between 99 and 2004. When did you
Yeah.
move to New York?
Oh, and on a side note, I have piano books from my old piano professors.
Oh my goodness.
I keep them close by. Thank you, Dr. Spinelli, and everybody. I had wonderful teachers, so I'm deeply respect them. Yeah, when I came to New York, the music kept going. I was interested in performing and just having some fun. And obviously, you have to get your feet on the ground after you graduate. You're suddenly responsible for yourself.
Yeah.
So I had a more good fortune to work at this beautiful place in Union Square where I was just working in a restaurant, but they had live jazz music in the lower level, the jazz room. And
What year was
fortunately,
that? What year?
that was in summer of 99. It was my first
Okay.
job out of college, right in New York City. And unbeknownst to me, it wouldn't take very long for me to become the person that booked the bands for our nightly live music.
Right.
Yeah, so I was able to celebrate, you know, this jazz and R&B music that I, you know, hadn't studied extensively at that time, but I really loved. And now I was able to give musician jobs, be around live music every night. And then it was just like a stepping stones from there, or a climbing a ladder from there. Like each thing I did involved more and more music. But that was one of my first experiences.
Right.
And yeah, and then of course performing and stuff and doing singer-songwriter showcases and writing music, until I got that call from a dear friend saying, hey, are you interested in this piano teaching job? And I thought that sounds terrific because I had been a camp counselor in high school with and my first year of college, and I loved working with children. I was always quite good at it. It's just we have a lot of big families, so it just kind of worked that way. So when, you know, I got the opportunity to meet you and get into teaching, I thought, well, this is going to be great. Little did I know that group class at Montessori Day School would become an incredible source of joy. And what, 17 years later, here we are.
Yes, exactly. So tell us a little bit. So you joined back then, our organization was called the Piano School of New York. You joined us in 2004. Soon after, you became an administrator because your personality and your commitment to music and your energy, we really needed someone like you to speak to so many parents and explain to them the importance of music education, especially in public schools that didn't have any enrichment of that type. And so tell us a little bit about that journey. How many years were you the administrator in Brooklyn?
Oh, wow. I think like almost 12 years.
12 years. Yeah.
It was a while, and that was an exciting time, I think, for all of us. For any of you watching that may not know, Vera and Andrew did all the work themselves and were really passionate and dedicated. And after I had been teaching for some time, and I had my beautiful Montessori Day School students and then some private students, and one lovely day they approached me and said, "Hey, we're thinking of finding creative ways to grow.
Mm,
We'd like to hire our first ever manager. Would
correct.
you like to be our Brooklyn manager?" And I thought, well, this is terrific. Like, how proud would I be if I'd been helping all these students directly as their teacher, but how
Yes.
marvelous would it be if I was able to bring after school piano programs to kids like all through Brooklyn schools where I was living at the time. That was my borough at the time and still is. Hi, Brooklyn. Um, and I thought that's sensational. So Vera and I started to work together, and it became my responsibility to help Brooklyn grow from maybe we had just one or two or three programs to, gosh,
Yeah.
over 20, I think, over the
Yes,
years.
correct.
And
You, at some point, you had like 20 different group class programs, and at some of
yeah,
them, you had a few dozens of kids who
oh
would take,
yeah,
group classes separately in small groups. So some schools' enrollment was really high, which showed
yeah,
really
some
great. Yeah,
5 days a week even. And
yes,
I'm proud those programs are still going.
yeah, some
I
of them
mean,
are, yeah.
and
Mhm.
and getting through the pandemic, we're gonna keep the music going somehow.
Yes.
But that was exciting, and I really did feel proud, and I always will, that we we were kind of honoring your mission of why you started piano school, now Anselmo Academy of Music and the Arts, that music education should be accessible to all students. And by bringing those small group classes directly to the schools, not only was it affordable and accessible, not only is it so vital, I think, for the development of our young children in this nation, in this world, but we were given a lot of talented teachers jobs. We
Yeah.
were making this really great connection in the community between the families and the kids and the teachers, and bringing music down those hallways. And
Mhm.
I deeply feel grateful for that. It's so nice to know a lot of those programs are still going.
Yeah, it is really remarkable.
It's great.
When I look back also, I think we were
I'm gonna
pioneers.
cry.
Yeah, we were pioneers, and you certainly helped greatly to really grow in Brooklyn, and not
Thank
only
you.
that, but really open many people's eyes, especially from
Yeah.
administrative side. In many Brooklyn schools, a lot of
Yeah.
principals or office staff were somewhat close-minded. They didn't want to be bothered necessarily, and so, but you went on like a storm.
I brought the parade,
Yes.
like, we gotta have piano. And you know what's great is I think that a lot of those administrators did have a deep fondness for piano, but they're so busy. And as you know, it's such hard work,
It is. Mm.
running a school and taking care of the many different facets of that, and the needs of the students and the families and the staff. I'm glad we could convince them to carve out a little time for piano,
Yeah.
because it really does help support students' academics, their emotional health, their expression, and so many things that helps them be a great student and a great human too.
Yes. Next topic, I'd like to have you speak about lesson plans, and especially when it comes to, the very young preschoolers. And I
Yeah.
know you have your red teddy bear, and you have a bunch of instruments that you use. And I also wanted to mention that so many teachers, young teachers that come to us, and they have traditional education, not necessarily trained to teach pre-K students,
Mhm.
and they sometimes shy away from it. Oh no, I don't think I can do this. And so I think it would really be great for you to talk a little bit about it, and maybe do some really short demos of how you engage kids that are 3, 4, 5-year old before they go to kindergarten. Go
Oh,
ahead.
absolutely. Allow me to introduce to the world Red Bear. He has been coming with us to Montessori Day School from very early days of my small group class for very young. And he is of course he's quite cute, but teachers, if you're teaching young students, it's so great to have a motivating tool, something that makes maybe this big keyboard seem a little less intimidating. You can turn a lot of things into a game. And I learned, and this is great for parents to know, if you have young kids or nieces and nephews or friends with children, and you want to encourage them, whether you're practicing at home, your fuzzy friend can help you play the keys too. And I think for teachers, in whether it's a private lesson or a group class, if you have little ones, it's so great to have fun. You can't be too serious. Now, I by no way mean in any way, don't learn proper technique or don't learn to read your notes and all your wonderful symbols and terminology. This is essential, but you want to make it approachable for a young student. You almost trick them into learning in a way because you're having so much fun. You're having games. I learned very quickly that even my best laid lesson plans, you were lucky if you got through 2 of those 10 things you planned, because sometimes the kids just want to go in another direction. And you have to be willing as a great teacher, much like as a musician, to be open to improvise and ready to go with the flow. And I think young children, even older children too, even adults, will kind of lead you down a path you didn't expect. If you have a beautiful arsenal of things to do, including, all these wonderful flashcards, which are quite brightly colored and quite fun, it gives us an opportunity to share things that might look a bit foreign to a young student. We help them learn this language. For example, if I'm with some of my younger students, and always have your trusty pencils on hand. Nowadays, in this digital age, I love showing my students, let's print out our music and get our pencils and go old school style. But before the kids are ready to do that, we'll do a lot with our hands. So I'll give you an example what we do with some of the little kids. We'll count out the rhythm patterns: half note, quarter, quarter, half note, half note. Or a great advice Vera's often told us at different faculty meetings, you can make up animal names to go along with it. Maybe it's tiger, bear, bear, tiger, tiger. Whatever catches the kids' minds and ears. I like to say their names a lot. It could be Joseph, Elodie, Isabella, whatever it might be. Get the kids involved, be creative. Yes, make a great lesson plan, but be willing to improvise. I was just saying to myself yesterday, teachers and musicians have so much in common. You've got to be willing to be a great improviser, a great listener. You've got to really find the joy and be willing to be silly and literally sometimes get down on the floor with the kids. We get on the floor, we're banging on the floor, we're clapping our hands. We've got, I don't always bring these with me, but during the pandemic, we've been using whatever we can on our video lessons to make things fun. You can grab your ukulele, you can grab your shakers and tap out your rhythms and really have a great time. With little kids, I think that's important. And then as the students get a bit older, you can make it a bit more sophisticated, or quite a lot more sophisticated, and start listening to other composers and analyzing music. And of course, lots of piano playing too. But I hope that kind of helps with the little kids.
That is great. Next topic, I wanted to talk about wonderful relationship that you've built with your students. And I find that a lot of also young teachers struggle a little bit with that, with building relationship. They maybe don't put enough value into relationship building with students or parents. And I actually would like to quote what you wrote as far as relationship building. You wrote, quote from Christina Kulick, providing not only amazing lessons and guidance, but continual support inspiration, and making music practice a joyful part of the week. Playing and practicing music can be an excellent partner to enhance students' academics, creative growth, and enjoyment. While for adult students can be not only a nice time to creative expression, but a relaxing and fulfilling hobby outside of a demanding work week and something special to enjoy on personal enrichment. And I'd like for you to
Yeah.
have a slideshow. You have some fantastic photographs of you with your students. And so as we go through the pictures, please tell us a little bit about each one. Go
Oh,
ahead.
of course, I'd be delighted. And just to share, I truly put my heart behind those words that Vera so kindly read that I wrote. I really mean that. I think students of all ages can benefit and just enjoy music study and practice so much. So thank you for sharing that. I'll be glad to share this slideshow with you guys. We're gonna do a little screen share. One moment. We're getting so good at all this technical stuff
Not me.
with our pandemic remote lessons, everybody, right? Okay. So I'm delighted to share this with you guys. So our very first picture you've already seen, that's me. I'm very proud that behind me on my piano, oh, that's my piano, Miss Vera. Oh, I've got my keyboard here, but then my piano is on the other side of the room. We've got lots of musical instruments here. And I love the card one of my students made. It's not true, but it's very generous. You are the best music teacher ever. I'll take it. I'll take it on that day.
No, but you see, for that student, that
Yeah.
is true. Yeah.
It's so sweet.
Yes.
Well, next we have, it should work quite nicely. Let's see. Oh, I think I have to turn it. Oops. Can you guys see the next picture?
No.
Oh, I'm not sure if it's going, but we're going to try. Hang on one second. Here we go. Thanks for bearing with us if you're watching. So this is a special picture for me for a lot of different reasons. It was one of my first group piano classes in Brooklyn that I taught at PS 282 in Park Slope. This was a program I believe Vera started and I inherited both as a teacher and a manager. And these lovely young people were so much fun. But I have to tell you, part of this question of developing great relationships is really, really listening, really being open. These young people at this school and also at Montessori Day School, they really taught me a lot. We ended up learning from each other, and that was so special. So that was a great chance to learn to play together. And I bet these kids are in high school now, God bless them. So
Yeah.
I hope they're doing well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for some reason, it isn't switching photos that easily, but I'm going to do it with you guys like this.
Maybe if you click on slideshow, no?
You know, I did. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I did, and it wasn't quite going, but we're going to try one more time. Let's see, guys. So the next picture, while I adjust this, hopefully I can get it to do that lovely slideshow, is when we started some recitals at the Brooklyn Music School Theater. And our end of the year recitals are not only a great goal for us to work towards, but it brought the students and their families together to celebrate. They had a chance to see and hear other students from other schools and from both the group classes and the private lesson programs playing. Obviously, in this picture, we have some of my beautiful young students from Montessori Day School. And it was just a blessing to not only be able to play and help my students play, but to MC the events as Brooklyn manager. And we had quite a lot of fun there as well. So going to the next one. What did I say about improvising? You've got to be ready to improvise. So we'll make it work. Here's some of my lovely students who are now also high schoolers, Jillian and Melina. they're a great example of families that support arts and music education in their lives, but they're willing to help encourage other students to do the same and to work really hard on a lot of beautiful songs. And I adore these young ladies. They're awesome. So it's nice. That was, I think, at a recital event we were celebrating a bit. And again, it's not loving to go forward, so we'll do it like this. This is another student from Montessori Day School, Jaden, and boy, did we have so much fun in that class. I cannot wait for healthier times when we're able to continue this class in person. But it is a real joy to play and sing with these lovely 3 and 4-year-olds. I feel very honored to be one of their first experiences learning a lot about music. It's a role I take very seriously, but man, do we have a lot of fun. They're lucky at this school. They have a wonderful teacher named Mr. Hugh, who also plays guitar and sings with them too. I'm honored to come there and have been doing piano there since 2004, as Vera mentioned. So it's a very special part of my life. As you will notice, the little kids grow up, and boy, what another privilege for me as a teacher and a human being to work with students for so many years. I feel like I have a unique position, and probably a lot of our colleagues share this too. But these 2 students, Matthew and Cameron, I knew since they were tiny little ones and had the privilege to work with them as they grew up for many years. And these 2 students and I are pictured at a Piano Outreach of New York fundraiser event, where our students would volunteer to come and play for a very supportive audience. And we helped raise scholarship money for students in financial need, so they would have the opportunity to study music as well. So I feel so proud of them, not only for working hard on their pieces, but volunteering their time on the weekend so other kids could get a chance to study music like they did. And we always raised a lot of funds, Vera, at those events, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
What a privilege. Speaking of supportive families, this was a cool event at one of our Brooklyn recitals we had at Shapeshifter Lab, a local venue that we did really cool concerts every year for quite some time. This is Audrey and Nate, brother and sister, and much like my big sisters inspired me, I love that we have so many families that take lessons together. Now, that's not to say every sibling needs to do the same thing, of course not, but it is quite fun when it happens. So Audrey and Nate and I, they had picked a song that required about 6 hands. So luckily we had enough hands to do it. And I just adore them so much. They're lovely. This is also from Shapeshifter Lab. Don't mind the little extra, we need a lot of music around here. More awesome students, private students supporting some of the lovely students from the group class programs, celebrating our Brooklyn schools, and again, the supportive, not only the supportive families, but all the wonderful teachers that would come to these events. And a lot of the school administrators and teachers came too. So we were always very honored for that.
And the medals. Talk about the medals. Yeah.
The medals were so great. We would encourage all the students to shine their brightest on recital days. And just as a little treasure to help them remember their accomplishments, Vera would help all us managers and teachers to get these lovely medals as keepsakes and special awards. And they were very proud to wear them. And a lot of the students would send me pictures, or their parents would email me the next week and say they were wearing them to school and they were really proud. I'm going to tear up again. I'm going to cry, because it's really, if you're joining us and watching this, this is very genuine, that we've had these beautiful experiences. Here's another lovely recital over at this beautiful church in Park Slope. This is myself with Mimi and Josie and Alice, and boy, just lovely young ladies who music has played a really important part of their lives, not only in expressing themselves and enjoying songs they like, but feeling confident and joyful. These girls work really hard in their academics too, and they find piano to be quite a fun thing to do. If you recall back to the photo with Audrey and Nate and I playing, I remember Audrey said she wrote on one of her college applications that practicing piano and taking lessons became a time for her where she could really relax and feel good about herself and not all the pressures of her academic, very demanding academic work. She felt like it just was a bright spot in her week. And I love that I can help bring that to these young people. And these lovely ladies in this photo are a great example of that too. And more sisters. Here's some more sisters too, Elia and Melina. This is a great chance to talk about where we are, the beautiful Jazz at Lincoln Center in Manhattan, New York City. A really cool opportunity that the piano school at the time was able to provide. And we still, I'm sure we'll do it again someday too.
Someday, yes.
Yeah,
They are still
someday.
not open.
Yeah,
Not open.
gosh, God willing, we will get back there, everybody. But in the time being, we can look fondly on these memories. Again, you'll see more beautiful music medals. You'll see the kids taking the chance to learn to dress up and have pride in the hard work they did and presenting themselves with grace and confidence. These are, again, two sisters that kept the music and beautiful, very talented family going. And it's a real honor. As you can see, a lot of happy teachers like myself were very honored, not only with the great job the students did, but some beautiful flowers and to go to such a prestigious location in Manhattan and like Jazz at Lincoln Center and enjoy that. Boy, it's so inspiring. Here's how we get to places like Jazz at Lincoln Center and Carnegie Hall. You've got to practice. You've got to start in class.
I see the Red Bear.
Red Bear is a star, Miss Vera. Red Bear really helped, truly, as you can see, helps my Montessori day school students and my younger students to feel confident to explore the piano. If Red Bear can do it, so can they. And these are some of my little Mozarts, I call them. And they're wonderful. We do a lot of ear training, a lot of singing, tapping, clapping, and certainly we get our little fingers on those keys too, which is just a joy. Here's a couple more of the Montessori day school kids at one of the recitals. Usually music is our reward, but on this day, with parent permission, we got some lollipops too. So that was pretty nice. And I adore these kids. You can see that we're really having fun, and it's not just because of the lollipop. Here's some of my other lovely students. I'll go just along here to keep the flow, and Emerson and Simon. And it was a neat time for me as a young teacher because, like I said, I learned a lot from them as well. And I still have many of these books that I used over the years. I found many different books and techniques that I feel really are beneficial. And I encourage teachers to write their own things too. Don't be afraid to create your own songs and exercises too. This is a nice flashback. It was hard to pick photos because I'm blessed to have so many, but we had to give a shout out to Columbia University in the very early days of piano school. Vera organized our recitals there, and some of these beautiful children you see here are in college now and doing very well, but we had the chance to take them up and shine brightly in a really cool location. This beautiful picture is also at Columbia University recital, and some of my awesome students from PS 282 in Brooklyn, and including Jonathan, whose mom, Nitzia, was one of my first and best experiences with a parent volunteer. And this is a great chance. Yeah, so lovely. What a great opportunity to speak on how our parent volunteers really helped us to make some of the logistical things possible at the schools, whether it's getting students safely to and from class or helping to get the right plug for the keyboard, photocopies of music, little things that made such a big difference. And what a pleasure to work with these fine young gentlemen. And they played some great songs that day. I will never forget that. They're just,
I love the white shirt and tie.
oh, thank you. You can see it's a different year if my hair changed color.
Your hair kept changing. Yes.
I know. We're stylish musicians
Yes.
over here. This is one of my big kids crew. Gosh, I adore them. Stella and Dashiell and Matthew. This is also at Jazz at Lincoln Center. And these young people deserve a round of applause because they worked very hard and they are very, devoted to their study. They would continue to sign up for lessons year after year. Even as they got older and busier, they felt music was a priority in their life, and they worked hard and they enjoyed it. So I'll always be quite proud of them. This is from the same evening with Stella. It was right before she went to college, and I thought it was nice to include this today because you're going to hear Stella play in a few minutes. So that was a fun memory. The next two photos are back in Brooklyn with, I just thought this picture was beautiful because if you take a closer look, you will see all of my Montessori day school students lined up. I was playing for them so they could sing a song. After everyone played the piano, we practiced all the kids from all the group classes to sing a song together for the parents and families. And had I not been at the piano with my back to it, I'm sure I would have been crying because it was so lovely. I'm glad someone was sweet enough to snap that photo because, man, what a beautiful moment. And here's one of our lovely Benjamin students from Montessori Day School. I don't know who snapped this photo, but thank you because you've got to be really hands-on and tender and patient with your younger students. And I felt all that in myself in this photo, and it gives me the chills a little bit. It's quite nice. So I encourage you got to be that way with teenagers too, by the way. And this last photo really sums everything up for me. We took this photo in, again, my Montessori Day School group class, and I asked everyone to put their hands on top of mine. And we wanted to show what a beautiful thing that all of us from different cultures all over the world can come together and be unified and loving and joyful through music and keep growing and nurturing one another. So I think that's the nicest way to end our slideshow today. It was a really beautiful experience and is every day working with my students, and to have that privilege to watch them grow up from little Mozarts to fine young men and women is an honor.
Beautiful. Thank you
crying
so
a
much
little.
for sharing.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yes. Can we hear Stella's video?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. And Stella has been your student since she was very little girl. And like you said, she went on to college and basically till then she had studied with you.
Yes.
And you did a lot of composing. I think you helped her compose even. And she did some, rock songs, I believe, that she was playing at some, so different styles of music.
And
And
this is a great touching on the subject of, well, how can you adapt for your students? Obviously, in a private lesson, we have the privilege to really dig deep and individualize everything. Stella and her older brother, Jack, did study with me since they were little, both all the way through college. And every student learns so differently. Every person does. And we found a really great way to help Stella learn to read music well. Now, I feel that's incredibly important in my life as a musician and a teacher. I love to use our ears and our instincts, but it's extremely important for me to share great note reading with my students. I feel that opens many, many doors. And with Stella, we found creative ways to do it, whether it was Beethoven or rock music or movie soundtracks or composing. And I adore their family. This song is a great choice for today for a couple reasons, and I'll share you why. One is it's called Arrival of the Birds, and Stella went on to study ornithology in college, which is about birds. We did not know that at the time. Yeah, the science of birds. So that's an interesting little thing. I wonder if that played in the back of her mind. Who knows?
Yes.
But also, it's a great example of how you as a teacher can take a piece of music. This was written for a full orchestra. It was a nature film, and the cinematic orchestra wrote this beautiful piece. And how do we take something like that and create a piano arrangement of it? And she and I worked on it all year.
That's great.
And it's a nice example of creating something just for the piano and working hard to play it beautifully. So I'll be very delighted to play that for you guys now. And I hope you can hear it really nicely. Bear with us one moment as I start the screen share. We'll share our sound as well. And I hope you enjoy Arrival of the Birds.
Lovely.
So a lovely memory.
Yes, thank you for sharing it. I'd like to move on and talk a little bit about pandemic and how, of course, that affected you and your teaching and your students. Tell us a little bit about this, and probably you could speak on behalf of many teachers in New York City as to how we all have struggled through pandemic. Tell us a little bit, maybe not so much about how you struggle, but since hopefully it's almost over, maybe you can tell us what you have learned or gained with that experience, maybe that.
Indeed, and quite a lot, actually. I said to someone earlier this summer that I felt that this terrible time, as challenging as it was and is, made me a better teacher. And the person I was speaking to was so surprised. And they said, my goodness, I'm surprised you say that. You're the only teacher I've spoken with that said that. And then probably that's just their personal experience. But they said, tell me more. Why are you saying this? I felt like being here as we are right now on this video encouraged me to push my boundaries, to learn more about technology. My teenage students were even teaching me more about, just as we were screen sharing some of the videos and slideshows, we learned to stay so positive no matter what was going on that week or how bad the news was. We would get on video for piano and we would listen to Ella Fitzgerald and Ray Charles and Glenn Gould, and we would share our screen and listen to videos and just try and have a blast. We even found really cool programs where you could share and write on manuscript paper compositions. And that was so neat to help them figure out, well, how do you put this dotted half note in? And how do you put this rest in? And let's write together. And be like, well, if we can't be sitting right next to each other here, let's try and make the most of it. And we enjoyed using technology to help us because it's all we, had other than the music. And we also allowed one another, even the little kids, to just have a blast. Some of the parents would say, they'd speak to me privately and say, man, they really miss you. They're like, is Miss Christina coming over today or what? And we were like, well, not today, but we're going to get on Zoom. We're going to see each other. And we just tried to make it fun. So Red Bear would come along. We'd get our ukuleles out. We'd get our, notebooks. I always had a notebook nearby and I will write every day. I have many notebooks full now of what we were doing. I would send them links to stuff to listen to through the week. We tried to make lemonade from the lemons, and make the best out of a difficult situation. And I'll leave it at this. Those students sometimes just wanted to talk about things they had heard, especially the older kids, but sometimes the little kids too. They'll surprise you. And they wanted to just have some comfort and familiarity. So it was a blessing to not only support one another and visit virtually, but to keep our music practice going and still work towards goals. And we did video recitals and we kept learning new things and having theory lessons, composition. That was really great. So we persevered and we're still going to do that. Nothing's going to stop our music.
That's great.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your musical that you wrote. Tell us a little bit how it all came about, and we're going to play a little excerpt that we have.
Sure. And thank you for mentioning. I keep on my little microphone here. I actually keep two things that I'll share with you guys. One of them is Zuli in The Last Place on Earth. This is a musical for families that my colleague Anthea Fain wrote the book and lyrics for it, and myself and John Chin wrote the music. And I also, this is a good one too, Miss Vera. The influence of a good teacher can never be erased. Always close by. But back to Zuli, we had in the early 2000s, actually around the time I started teaching, I began to write the music with my colleagues for this show. And Zuli is a special musical because the subject matter seems so relevant and vital with every passing year. It includes the importance of solving conflicts in a peaceful way. It's an anti-violence piece and finding peaceful conflict resolutions. It is a piece that accepts compassionately and lovingly the differences in others, and also being true to yourself. And I feel like truly those messages are more timely than ever. I say this every year, it just seems more applicable. So we're always delighted to share it. We had the privilege to work with Brooklyn Arts Council for many years to bring this musical to school students and be able to perform it for them with some wonderful actors here in New York City. We've had the chance to perform it in some different theater festivals and local venues. And kind of piggybacking on what we said about what did we do during the pandemic, we always had a dream to have students perform the show. So we even set up a Zoom reading of the script, just for something fun and enriching for a lot of the students that were stuck at home in quarantine, to have something enriching to do. And hopefully we'll get to perform it for all of you someday. And maybe some of the students will do it, which would be a dream of ours. But today we're going to hear a wonderful piece. It's called What Will I See? Zuli, the main character, is basically born into, it's all about dogs, actually. And Anthea wrote this wonderful magical story where these two families or packs of dogs are used to a culture of fighting. And that's how they solve their problems. And the new generation, including Zuli, sees things a different way. He feels compassion, seeing, looking to the eyes of his or her opponent. We use different actors sometimes. So whoever Zuli might be, it's Zuli. And doesn't want to continue the culture of fighting, which if you turn on the news, it seems like that's something that happens almost every day, unfortunately. But maybe our younger generation will help to turn the tides. So What Will I See is a point of the show where Zuli had run away, feeling they had let their family down because Zuli didn't want to fight anymore, but is constantly dreaming of a better way, a more loving, compassionate way. So that's what this song will be all about.
Right.
And I'll share that with you guys now. It's called What Will I See? This is at the very end of Act 1. And I will screen share with you all now. I hope you enjoy and get to see and hear more of Zuli someday. Teachers, by the way, it's a great opportunity to share, of course, if the subject matter is appropriate, what you're composing and working on with your students. Hopefully that will inspire them too.
What will I see? What will I find? I'm going back to the world I left behind. What will I find? What will I see? I've got to bring out the strength inside of me. I'm going back to the place I left behind. Everything's different. I don't know what I'll find. It's not the place of the childhood in my mind. I wish I could go back. I wish I could rewind. What will I find? What will I see? I've got to bring out the strength inside of me.
Great. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
And
Thank you.
yes, and conclude our beautiful event. I wanted to ask you to send a couple of words and best wishes to students around the world.
It's my pleasure. I feel during this time, if you're joining us locally in New York City or all the way around the world, I hope that music can continue to be an inspirational and comforting part of your life. I hope you continue to play and sing and dance and whatever will bring you joy in challenging times, but also keep working hard on your goals. If you're a music student, practice with patience and precision and persistence, and put a lot of joy into what you're doing. But of course, if you enjoy music just for fun, please keep listening and singing along and supporting wonderful schools like Anselmo Academy of Music and the Arts that are trying to bring more music education to other students, and any of your local communities, and symphonies and Broadway, whatever you can do to support the arts, please do. I hope we can continue to appreciate cultures from all around the world and become friends through music. And I truly wish all of you a healthy, safe year from the Big Apple here in New York City to all of you in the world. Stay musical and stay healthy. We love all of you guys very much.
Thank you so much, Miss Christina. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. We're wishing you to have a good evening, and we'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.
Good night. Thank you, everyone. Take care.